Okay, everyone. So for Unit 2 of the Level 4 Certificate in Education and Training, we are starting with question 1.1, which is to analyse the role and use of initial and diagnostic assessment in agreeing individual learning goals. So this question is all about initial and diagnostic assessment. So it's really investigating which initial and diagnostic assessment methods you use within your own teaching and training. You're going to describe how they're used, and also you're reflecting on the strengths and any areas for development with those as well. So let's just have a look at some examples of initial assessment. So if you haven't come across initial assessment, so these happen at the start of a new course, a new qualification, a new unit, a new lesson, and it serves the purpose of finding out some more information about the individual learner. So their motivations for the course, their suitability to embark on this new qualification. You can find out about the learner's hobbies, their interests, their learning styles, whether or not they're going to be a success on the course, or if they require any additional support, any reasonable adjustments. So they are really, really useful to be done, as mentioned, at the start of a new course, a new qualification, a new lesson, a new unit as well. So in terms of some of the most popular initial assessments, we have got an application form, a discussion or debates, essays. You might ask your learner to complete perhaps an essay of some sort, just to test their literacy skills, any type of informal games, icebreakers, fun interactive icebreakers such as Two Truths and a Lie, interviews, a self-assessment activity, structured activities such as role plays, phone conversations with a learner, or any type of quizzes such as Kahoot, Socrative, anything which is quite fun and engaging as well. So we've got a great range of an initial assessment, and for this assignment question, you can of course select your own as well. So what I'd like for you to do is I'd like for you to select any three initial assessment methods. And what we're going to do in a moment is we're going to explain the assessment methods, and we're going to reflect on the strengths and limitations as well. Okay. You can, of course, as mentioned, you can include any initial assessments that you use within your own teaching and training, which might not be featured on the template here. Now, furthermore, as well, what we're going to do is we're going to explain two diagnostic assessments as well. So we've got three initial assessments that we're going to be reviewing and two types of diagnostic assessment as well. So diagnostic, these do happen at the same stage as initial. However, they are usually there's some sort of test that involved with a diagnostic assessment. So it renders some type of quantitative data or a result with numbers, basically. So there are many different types of diagnostic assessment. So it could be perhaps a learning styles questionnaire, it could be a language test, the use of BKSB, which is the basic skills builder quiz. It could be a type of fitness test, health screening tests, a demonstration of a task, absolutely. It could be an observation, or it could be a literacy and numeracy test as well. So again, we would like for you not only to review and explain about three initial assessments, but also two diagnostic assessments as well. Okay, because the question is to analyze the role and use of initial and diagnostic assessment in agreeing individual learning goals. So we have to review the two different types here. Okay, so hopefully you've got some initial and diagnostic assessments in mind, any three initial and any two diagnostic tests. Okay, so we're just going to move on to our table. So what I've done is I have examined a few initial and diagnostic assessment methods to give you an idea of the content, the structure that you could write about. And feel free to use the use of an application form, or you could use different initial assessments as well. So the first one we're going to be looking at is the application form, the traditional application form. We've got the explanation, the strengths and the limitations as well. So the considerations when using them as well. So you don't have to use application form. It could be any initial assessment that you use as well. So what we're looking for here is we're looking for a paragraph of information describing what an application form is. And also, if you use an application form within your own teaching and training, I'd like for you just to describe your application form. You could also include a photo of your application form if you use one as well. But what is an application form is how is it used within teaching and training? So a course application form within teaching and training is digital or paper-based, and is provided to the learner when they're commencing a new course or qualification. The purpose of the form is to find out about the learner's previous knowledge, their motivations for the course, any previous experiences, because what we can do is we can tailor the learning on the course to make it suitable for the learner as well. Just to see whether or not the learner's got any gaps within their knowledge as well. So when they're starting a course, you know, what is their literacy and numeracy skills like? Is it up to standard? If not, maybe we need to organise some classes for them to attend to go alongside the regular course as well. So following this rich information, what we can do is we can create an ILP, so an individual learning plan, to support the learner throughout their course. And that means that we can obviously check in with them and have a chat about their course progress, and just to have like a one-to-one meeting with them to see how they're getting on as well. So application forms are very, very useful. They are stored as well, so that's obviously one thing that we can obviously go back and have a look at the records and what's been written on the application form. So just on to the strengths then. So what we'd like for you to do is to describe a minimum of 2 strengths of the initial assessment type. So I've got mine with number 1, a standardized information, so a standardized form, and also record keeping as well. So I think that application forms are fair because the questions on them are the same as for every learner. Okay, so application forms ensure that all applications are provided with the same information, making comparisons between learners easier to distinguish as well. So you have that hard copy, and it's easier to have a chat to your fellow teachers to cross comparison about the learners on their suitability for the course as well. So I think they're a fair approach. They're easier to administer, to print off. You can get your learners to complete an application form, so they're quick and easy to complete as well. They're also very good for records as well. So it's actually proof that an initial assessment has taken place. So by keeping records, and it's also a reference point as well. So how did, the qualifications that the learner has started. So it's a great sort of reference point. So throughout your course, you can have a look back at the application form to see how far the learner has come from the start of their journey as well. Also, application forms can be incredibly important when registering learners with perhaps an awarding body, because it has their date of birth on there, any learning requirements and motivations for the course. So by having a hard copy, it's actually evidence that the initial assessment has taken place. So I think in regards to application forms, they're incredibly flexible. They can be completed at any point. You can obviously complete a paper-based version or digital as well. And you're giving the learner responsibility for them as well. So just on to The limitations or the considerations when using application forms. I think the first one is kind of a limited insight into learner personality. So often application forms have a series of questions which sort of lack depth of information regarding the learner's personality type or motivation. They could look very, very good on paper, but when it comes to the actual person themselves, they might not have the qualities that you're looking for your course, and that can be an issue as well. So as mentioned, with application forms, learners might put what you, the teacher, would like them to put, but it's not really reflective of their qualities or skill set. So learners could sort of bend the truth in terms of you know, their motivations for the course, perhaps to get on the course, but it might not be kind of a true representation of who they are. There's also kind of a lack of flexibility. Some learners may feel that they struggle for motivation with completing an application form. They can be incredibly tedious, boring, lengthy. And the problem with that is that the learner may not be bothered to complete the entire application form, sadly, and they may never register for your course, especially if the questions on the application form are too complex. So that is an issue as well. Learners might misunderstand the question and they haven't got a teacher to ask them, what does that mean? So application forms, they need to be simple, worded correctly. They need to be standardized, of course. I always say get a second opinion with a fellow teacher if you are in fact writing an application form there as well. So those are my strengths and limitations on the application form. So this is obviously initial assessment 1 of 3. You can go for application form, or you can go for some which are different as well. You can include a photo of your own application form that you use within your own teaching and training. So this is the first video, okay, of our table. Hopefully this video has been useful. Please do like the video, subscribe, and any questions, just fire them our way. Thank you so much for watching.